when you go out looking for aphids, you just might see ants crawling up and down the plant where you're finding aphids. What is that relationship between aphids and ants?
Yeah, ants collect that honeydew and eat it. They like that honeydew. And so because they like it so much, they will actually protect the aphids from those beneficial insects like the lady beetle larva and the lacewing larva and the myriad of other beneficials that will eat the aphids themselves. And there are videos, there's probably YouTubes where you can look at people have photographed the ants actually chasing off lady beetle adults who want to lay their eggs among the aphids and other beneficial adults so that they can take care of the aphids, protect them from the beneficials so they don't get eaten. They'll also move the aphids around. When the population of aphids gets crowded, the aphids themselves will produce a population that have wings so that they can go to a different place that isn't so crowded. But the ants will help that along. They'll move the non-winged aphids from place to place so that they have a bigger population from which they can collect the honeydew. So ants are basically farming the aphids and protecting the aphids from their enemies. Nature's little ranchers. Yes. Those ants are harvesting that honeydew. So, okay, well, fine. We've attempted to control the aphids. Now we need to control the ants. What is the most effective way to control ants? Ants are tricky. They're very well organized as a society, and they have lots of workers that are out there. And the best way to control the ants is to kill the queen in the colony. But that's tricky. She doesn't come out. She's not, she's the one who's laying all the eggs, and all her minions are taking care of those babies and bringing food into the colony and protecting the colony from anything that might hurt it. But she doesn't come out. And so we have to get to her by her workers. The ones who are out collecting food are the ones that are going to take food to the queen and feed her. And so we don't want to necessarily kill them where they are. We want them to take something back to the queen and kills her. Once that happens, the colony falls apart. Yay! But I would think that just like in plant life and fertilizers, a little bit of something that kills ants goes a long way, whereas if you put too much of the bait out for them to take back, they recognize it as not good and will walk around it. Either that or they will eat it themselves and die before they get back to their queen. Ah, and you don't want that. Right. It's not, the queen is constantly producing new babies, and so there's always somebody waiting to take that guy's job. Sounds like some bosses I've had. So the control that we're hedging about is boric acid, but it goes by several names. On some ant bait control products, it might say orthoboric acid, right, or something with the word borate in it. Borate, right? Yeah. There's several words, but look for that bore part. Yeah. And it comes in many styles. There's a powder, a dust available. One popular brand that's pure boric acid is called Roach Proof. And there are of course, the little bait stations you can buy. They're usually sold in 4-packs or 6-packs. And you just put that along the ant trail and they will go in there. You know, the problem with those I have noticed in using them indoors to control Argentine ants is they tend to die right there. And you wonder how much actually makes it back to the nest. Whereas with boric acid, the powder, they just get it all over them and take it back to the queen. I have not had the same problem with the prepackaged traps. I had a bunch of ants living in some of the plants in my greenhouse. And when I watered the plant, the ants came out and they just swarmed the top of the plant. And so I just put one of those little baits, and they do come in different. There are some specifically for outdoors and some specifically for indoors, and some where you can use in either indoors or outdoors. And I had one, it was like a tube of pre-mixed liquid ant bait. And I put it in the greenhouse and I put a broken piece of ceramic pot over the top so that it wouldn't get wet. And pretty soon, and I put one on the greenhouse bench, one outside the greenhouse where I saw the trail of ants coming in, and one in the pot itself. And the ants disappeared completely. So I used it in my bathroom as well. They seem to love the bathroom for some reason. I have a lot of plants in there too. That may be it. Okay. And it leaked all over the floor. So the type of trap may be of interest to you. They may work in different situations.
There are other ant bait stations, too, that are refillable. You would fill them with a liquid ant control product that has boric acid in it that's usually diluted with water. And these are reusable stations. They're kind of nice. You can stick them in the ground or place them outside. And once the liquid is gone, you can just refill it with the proper formulation. And you have to be patient with this. Unlike the sprays where you see immediately kill of ants, which, as we pointed out, could also kill the good guys, the liquid products we're talking about tend to work more slowly, and it might take a week or two, and this goes with the boric acid powder as well. It might take a week or two for you to control that invasion of ants.
Right, and you might be very surprised and perplexed that there are more ants around at first than when you put the bait out, and that's because they found this wonderful, easy source of something to eat. To them, it's sweet and tasty and wonderful food, and so they come and they call all their friends, and their friends come, and everybody's feeding like pigs at a trough around this ant bait. But just let it be, and as you say, it takes time. They have to take it back bit by bit to their queen, and then get enough. She's quite a bit bigger than they are, twice or maybe 3 times the size that they are. So it will take quite a bit to kill her, but she has to be fed it over a period of time, and that's where those weeks come in.
But you, being a gourmet cook and a gourmand, have a homemade concoction for ant control.
Right. Not something I would eat, although it is not toxic to me. So, and that's the wonderful thing about these boric acid baits, boric acid, borate, or orthoborate. Read the active ingredients list on the package. By law, it has to be there. If it has that in it, and only that, besides things like sugar and water, it is not toxic to humans or birds or bees or fish or your dog or cat. So it's not something to stress about. In the quantity in those containers, that they will not harm mammals.
Is it harmful to beneficial insects?
Not that I'm aware of.
Yeah, me neither. I'm not sure of that. It's sort of like the chemicals that are registered for use on aphids, like insecticidal soap or some sort of lightweight horticultural oils. They only harm the beneficials if they are hit directly by the soap or the oil.
Correct. But they'll only harm the aphids if they are hit directly by the soap or the oil as well.
Right, right.
Yeah.
There's no residual action on those.
Right. And the boric acid is the same. It has to be consumed. So it's presented in those baits in those traps in a way that is really set up for ants to find it and easily access it. So the size of the opening, the position of the opening, those sorts of things are created with the ants in mind. And other insects don't quite fit. When I spilled it in my bathroom, nobody else showed up. But it's my bathroom. I was happy about that.
Well, we've given people enough time to find pencil and paper to jot down the Debbie Flower recipe for controlling ants.
It's a really simple recipe. It is 9 parts of sugar and 1 part of boric acid.
So like 1 teaspoon and 9 or 10 teaspoons.
Right.
Okay, 1 teaspoon
and you mix
of boric
it together.
Acid. Yeah.
And don't put extra boric acid in it. Boric acid is that roach proof, sold as one brand is called roach proof.
Yeah.
There are others. They tend to be in
squeeze bottles.
Yeah, round squeeze bottles, because roaches tend to be in walls and small spaces where you have to put in the nozzle and squeeze in the boric acid. And professionals do use boric acid for roach control. If you're having a roach problem, you can ask your professional if that's what they're going to use, and it just dries them out. It just dries their bodies out, and they shrivel up and die. But we don't want, as we've said, we don't want the ant to shrivel up and die as soon as it eats it. We want the ant to take it back to the nest and feed it to the queen. So we're going for a very low concentration of boric acid in this mix.
And in this case, so far, we have 1 part boric acid, 9 or 10 parts sugar. And then when you mix it together, I guess you want to make a slurry with some water.
Right. So you make the slurry, and how thick that slurry is depends on how you're going to apply it. If it's on my kitchen counter, I'll put out a piece of wax paper or aluminum foil, and I'll make the slurry, thinner than toothpaste. I want it to stay on the piece of paper, but not dry out immediately. It does dry out fairly quickly.
Cottage cheese.
Have you put it in cottage cheese?
No, I'm just wondering if it has the consistency of cottage cheese.
Well, is it big curd cottage cheese or small curd?
Well, so it would be small curd cottage cheese, and it would be the creamy cottage cheese.
Creamy cottage cheese, yeah, something that will stay on the aluminum foil or wax paper. Put it in their pathway. At first, they spend time checking out the paper I've put it on, etc. And eventually, somebody will start eating it, and then they'll all show up and feed on that. If I'm putting it outdoors, then I will put it in a container, maybe a yogurt container with something with a lid that can be put back on. And put cotton balls in that container. Dig a little hole around the base of the plant so that the container will fit in the hole and the lid will be at soil surface. And then put little ant-sized holes in the lid and pour the slurry. In this case, I'd probably make it wetter, looser, so that it would be absorbed into the cotton balls. And the purpose of the cotton balls is that the ants have something to sit on while they're feeding.
Ah, okay.
And so you want the cotton balls to basically fill up the container, pour the now thinner, maybe even as thin as juice, slurry over the top, put the lid on, put it in the hole, and walk away. And the ants, you want the soil right up against the container so the ants have a nice, easy way to get to the top of that container. And they will go in, or they might feed from the hole, depending on how close the cotton balls are to the top. And they will collect the bait from there, take it back, and come back and feed again. The lid helps it from drying out. It helps keep stuff you don't want, like leaves and mulch and soil, from getting into the bait, and gives the ants a way to get in and out.
All right.
And this bait will dry out, and so you have to replace it periodically. So I make a whole bunch of it, put it in a jar or some kind of container, keep it around. I check it periodically, add a little water if it's starting to dry out, and then check my baits and go bait stations and replay. In the kitchen, I'll just throw out what I used one day and put some new out. Outdoors, you can empty the cotton balls and redo it, or you can just top it off.
So I'm looking at my ruler here to determine what size these holes should be for ants. And if I'm an ant in a social situation, I think a two-way street would be best for the ants going in and the ants coming out. So probably twice as wide as the body of an ant. And ballparking it, I would probably say, well, not a quarter inch, probably an eighth of an inch. So for those of you that like exact measurements, use your 1/8 inch drill bit to make to make the holes.
Or you can pound it with nails. Find a board, put the lid on the board, and hammer a nail through and pull it out, pull it out to make the holes. Or a knife. A knife is a little harder because it leaves those sharp edges. It's hard to get the material out of the lid. You end up with just an opening, but the ant has to push its way through. So something like a nail or a drill bit would make the best holes in the top of the lid.
Or for real fun, a BB gun.
I suppose you could.
Yeah. Well,
target practice.
For those of you in the country. All right.
Get the kids outside.
Yeah. All right. Another reason for the lid, too, is, I guess, would be to keep dirt and pets out of it.
Absolutely. Right. Yes. Anything else out of it.
All right. And by the way, we'll have this link that includes Debbie's recipe also in today's show notes about how you can make your own boric acid bait trap. And again, it would be like in a tuna can or a cat food can outdoors with a lid, one of those plastic lids. So say goodbye to that plastic lid.
Right. Yes.
All right, that would work.
And those lids are for tuna cans and cat food cans are readily available at your local grocery store.
You want to control ants? There's a lot of good tips for you. Debbie Flower, thanks for all the great advice.
My pleasure. Thank you.